Buddy. Hi, Rich. Happy Independence Day. I guess I've got a helper today. So you have some questions about the weave from Promenade in the Foxtrot. And last week we were talking about the natural weave from Promenade. So we don't call it a reverse weave, but if we just look for the weave from Promenade, it does start turning to the left. So last week when we talked about the natural weave, you were coming around the lady and then moving back to where it becomes the same weave. The weave always ends with that feather finish. So it becomes the same, but because of the direction that we're traveling in here, as I come around in front of the lady, we're moving on this angle and then we come out diagonal wall. So that one looks a little bit more like a check mark. So then when we dance the weave from Promenade, now you need to close the lady in front of you. So on the natural weave, I'm moving myself around her, and weave from Promenade, I'm asking the lady to come around me. So anytime that we have a reverse figure particularly, anytime the lady needs to be in front of us, you have to be aware of that with your frame and your center, how you do that. Particularly on reverse turns, because of the lady being in this arm. You have to make sure that you advance her. So we're going to make a point here of doing the unwind through your body. You come out in Promenade. Now my body again is facing the line of dance with my foot diagonal center. So that's where I'm going to take the first step. And I'm not going to lose my centering. Where I am going to lose that, or go back to normal, is between steps 1 and 2, and this way I can advance my girl to come across in front of me. So it's important that we coordinate the turning of the body with the tracking of the foot. There. I'm going to step back a little bit so you can see the next step. We made a point in the studio of making sure that you get the proper foot swivel so that you don't get a turn in a weave or other actions like this. Remember that the side steps commence always as forward steps. So this one, which is going to be side and slightly back when it finishes with the turn, will still swing forward. So what was happening there on step 3 is you were turning on this foot and holding this foot behind you. Now you will be pulling away from your girl at this point. So that foot should be much more to the side. It is slightly back, but remember it arrives there with that forward direction. When we talk about swing, we always keep our swing moving where we initiated it at the beginning of the figure, at the beginning of the bar. I have some opinionated finches today. So here we go. We continue the turn now as we go through the neutral position. The legs continue to pass, and at that point, there's a foot swivel. And I will have another 1/8 of a turn through my feet to go into the next step. Now it's important there, this is another thing we've been talking about every week, is trying to keep the CBM position when you're outside partner or your partner is outside and not getting flat. As I said last week, there are people that overdo this and really twist their bodies, which we can't do. We have to stay front to front, but front to front on the right side. So there is always going to be some rotation to the thighs when we're stepping in CVMP so that we can keep our center as much as possible to our partner. So we don't want to lose the position here. We don't want to twist away from the lady and put the foot back, and we don't want to roll back through the heels with the thighs being open on that step. So I'm moving diagonally center. My body is to the line of dance. My frame is towards my girl. Between steps 1 and 2, I will collect her in front of me. I'll be patient there. I'll be stepping there to the center of the lady. I'll continue the forward swing. I'll back up here. But my foot will end side and slightly back, and I'll have an additional foot swivel. It's assisted through the weight of the hips as you take the next step back. From here, you'll continue on into your feather finish. So there are other alignments for the weave. As you know, when we dance it in waltz, we dance it more like a check mark. The alignment that we're coming into our weave in Foxtrot, diagonal center, is taking us to the line of dance. So from this alignment, I am not going to continue to move back towards diagonal center. The one that we're dancing starts DC and ends up going down the line of dance and then into the feather. The other point we made on the feather finish again, and notice where all your feather finishes are. So when we danced the top spin and when we danced the weave from Promenade, were the basic weave, natural weave from Promenade, reverse turn, hover cross. These are all including feather finishes. So once again, making sure that you're keeping that angle and not getting flat. Now it helps to understand where the lady is dancing here. As she comes out into Promenade, her foot position is a little bit different than yours. She is more to the center. So now when she comes across here, with her foot to the center, and she has a pretty large turn to make. She makes 3/8 of a turn between steps 1 and 2, and another 3/8 between 2 and 3. By step 3, she has a pointing alignment down the line of dance. So the lady needs to open that door for me. And so often the ladies will place their foot here because they don't stay on their supporting leg long enough. I can help her with that. I can help her with that by putting the turn into the lady's body and continuing it here. Do you have something to say, Gandalf? False alarm there. But of course she does also need to know that when the man puts her in motion, that she needs to open the gate for herself. So I will try as a leader to indicate that to my girl, realizing I cannot solve every problem. But that's what I'm trying to do, is give her this sense to continue her turn so that we can both then go down the line of dance into the feather. So once again, just practicing that action on your feather. Right, trying to put your foot in line with the big toe, not have the legs open, not be too square. The other thing you can think of, put your hand right here in the crease of the hip where the thigh goes into the hip, and keep this hip back. So there should be a crease there when you dance a feather. It's very easy to push that hip through. So we'll have a feeling there of my hip dancing away from my foot. Remember, except for the hover feather, that we have a right sway. And where do we have a hover feather action when you dance? The natural telemark is the one that we've been working on, where you use a hover and therefore you have a left sway for that moment. So those are the points that we covered on the weave. We'll talk a little bit now about the top spin.